Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Jesse Jackson III. I'm the best-selling author of 72 books and 27 professional development programs, which we're so honored as we've had the opportunity to work with hundreds of thousands of professionals during my time, and the results that we've gotten in our trainings and with our books, the growth and development we've seen in people is really exciting. We're looking forward to 2021 here and the work we're doing here. The major issue, even though there's so many challenges this year with health and safety, morale, trauma management, student behavior, attendance, the one that I believe is the wild card, most trickiest, is race management. Everybody, see, with race management requires an organization to have a philosophy. So when I ask this question, why is it that race has become one of the only issues that we're not able to get solved in our country, right? We can help you with health. We could come up with vaccines for COVID. We can come up with solutions, man. Pacemakers, things for hearts, brain surgery, things of this nature. We can cure diabetes and do things like that. But why is it when race comes up, we seem to go back to the same state every time? Well, it's very fundamental. And it's because everyone has a different personal history. Everyone has a different experience. So we're all living here, but we're having different experiences, different history. I mean, we could even be in the same, I guess, city, same school, same neighborhood, but a totally different experience. And the problem only starts, so guess what? When they get emotions, people get angry. Some people get sad. Some people get sarcastic. Some people get guilty. So emotions. Always remember, emotions when dealing with race will always lead you back to the baseline where we get nothing done, because now the room turns on each other. I'm looking at you crazy because of how you feel, what you think. And so here's the deal. The major problem is you have to understand with an issue like race, when people are sharing their perspective or their feelings, it is not our place to try to assess someone else's feelings and tell them they're right or wrong for how they feel. So this is why what I've done, and this is why our process is hands down, irrefutably more productive than these other philosophies people tried. Now, once again, it was last May that I advised the entire country, all the schools, all one couple of 100,000 of them. I told you what was going to happen. And guess what? People went out there, they did it their way. And so what they did was they created division in their staff. They created non-production in their staff. They didn't address it. And they said, oh, it'll go away. And then 1 year later, it's right back on the table and it's worse than it was then. The deal was then COVID had us all shut down, so we had to feel it. Now you got some distractions. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what has happened since the mismanaged. Now I got parents telling you, you can't kick out their black son, their black daughter. You can't kick out my brown kid. Okay, you're discriminating against my white kid. Okay, that's what's going on now. You know why? Because neglect, failure to actually accurately manage issues. So the first baseline of managing race issues in a workplace is the professional standards that we set as an organization. That speaks to us about the way we conduct ourselves. Things you should say, things you should not say, right? Understanding those dynamics, right? And so this is why our race training, it's been my highest rated training of my career. Now I need y'all to understand, if you're watching me for the first time, I've been around a long time, but I've been productive for a long time. Okay, so my training programs have gotten better. My earlier training programs were more based on, motivation, inspiration. But over these last 5 to 7 years, it's been based on the best content money can buy. Our trainings cannot be duplicated. You know what I mean? I tried to develop a team and said, let my team go out here and do the trainings. Well, I had schools just saying, well, we'll wait till you come, right? So first of all, I appreciate the respect, but I know why they were saying that. It was the feel for the way I do things is I have training content, but every single presentation, even if it's the same content, changes versus the institution. So I could be in a district for a week, all right, and go to 8 schools. But I'm going to give 8 different presentations because each campus culture demands that. The energy is different. The personalities are different. So there's some campuses that might be more mature and ready. And we might have a campus that's not. I've had superintendents say to me, my staff's not ready for you to go that direction. Guess what? Folks, if I'm in the organization, I'm there for you. I'm not there to try to prove I'm smart. I am smart. I'm not trying to prove that my life's worked out really good and my reputation speaks for itself. I'm there for the people. The training should develop the people. So this is why I can tell you any training process on race that you have that shows the theory, implicit bias, what it does is it automatically assesses guilt, like right out of the gate. Now, you may have some schools that are ready to deal with the conversation, but you're gonna be right back where you started. When push gets to shoving, you'll be right back where you started. It's gonna be I accept it, but it'll be right back. I'm about growth. The thing that I know that will sustain us over time is just be a pro. You gotta teach people. Man, there's things to say and not say. There's certain things it's okay to talk about, and this is not. If you step out there in that boat, you cannot come back. And the one thing I noted last year, dealing with the Floyd situation that changed the world, was that now you're no longer allowed to apologize. I have 170 plus coworkers terminated for things they said. So the rules changed. So if the rules change, let's not repeat history like the rules changed with No Child Left Behind. Well, guess what? We left the teachers behind. We didn't train them. We didn't bring them up to speed. We just changed policy. Guess what? In 2010, we banned suspensions. 2013, I think, in Illinois, banned suspensions. Well, guess what? We didn't bring the teachers along. We didn't train them. We didn't bring them out of that space. We just said, here are the rules change, adjust, adapt. Race, people, I'm asking y'all, superintendents, principals, please listen to me. That is racial malpractice to send a teacher out into this climate without an understanding and a toolkit for managing the most toxic issue that has ever been presented in the workplace, particularly education, because people think they're saying the right thing, they think they're doing the right thing, then it doesn't land right, and before you know it, they're defending their name. Why has our Cultural Awareness Institute been so successful? It very wisely deals with a very delicate matter. The key is wisely, right? So we called it closing the race gap. It is how an educator can appropriately address the issue of race in a school workplace environment. The key is the way you deal with stuff at work is not how you deal with it at a town hall meeting, a community meeting, at the church, at the bar, at your house. You're at work. Everybody say work. This is your job. So some things you got to understand before you go to work. Everybody knows every discussion is not appropriate for the job. And then the teacher needs to know how to address the student when students bring things up, right? When students want to share and ask questions. That's a skill that we have to give teachers. And guess what? A lot of them went into COVID, went into remote learning. They went out there without a blueprint. And guess what they got? They got shut out. Kids wouldn't even log on. Families are protesting. Families calling the school. This teacher's dead. Did you know this? And so now you got to get that cleaned up. And now we got trust issues. But now we're trying to do some learning. Come on, y'all. Listen. You can keep playing these games. This is serious and this is business. You can get training models that make you feel good and that check boxes. You can actually use training to grow and get better. That's what our training program is. Growth. You get better. You learn something. You understand things that you might not have understood when you came in. What we talk about in our training is how to professionally address the issue of race. What's the difference between race and social class? A lot of this stuff's getting mixed together. Social class is a big part of the dynamic, but it gets painted with race, right? It gets painted with race, right? I would like to always be known as a person who will always stick with fact over feeling. And I'll always stick with what's really, obviously you can see. There's a difference there's a lot of race issues in social class that get mixed together. And that if you do that, you'll end up in a bad place every single time. How to gain a better understanding of police brutality and the issue of race, right? It's a history to it, but there's a way that a teacher needs to understand it. when they go to approaching it. There's some teachers jumping out of the boat on police brutality, and they get in a horrible place that they can't win. They can't get out of. They can't get out of that hole. And what do they think? They are thinking they're right. They're saying things on social media. They're saying their feelings. They don't understand they're a professional, and a professional must use different discretion. So there's some things we need to understand. What to say if somebody calls you a racist is a way to deal with it. If you respond wrong, it gets worse. If you respond wrong, it's going to get worse, right? It's right. Things to say and things not to say. And then how do you go about building a healthy, trusting relationship with your students? It is our Cultural Awareness Institute. It's Closing the Race Gap. Everybody will receive one of our books for it. It's one of the best pieces of material we've ever written, because it's about being professional. It's about giving a professional a blueprint on how to manage a very complicated environment. You have to understand how to do it. Now, when people say, well, how do you execute the program? Here's our program. We like to always start with management. Okay, so when you look here at our process, we like to start our training. This is why this is a year-long process. And I'm really very kudos to my schools that really went through the process, because that's how you develop your organization to improving your culture over time. You start the process with your leadership and management team. So particularly in the district, you need to get the management team in first, bring them in. Do you realize how many excellent trainings have been done that I've been a part of that were done after I met first with management, central office, and the principals? I mean, it's just been remarkable, because from getting them first, they're able to show you the differences in the campuses. That's why I said, particularly for districts, you have to bring campuses individually by themselves. This is not a district-wide talk. There are some districts that, I had to turn down their invitation because what they wanted to do was a district-wide talk. I said, man, you will never get me to do a district-wide company race talk. That's a trap, and it's foolish, because what you'll start seeing, the room, it doesn't matter what you say. That room will split right in half, because what we notice is that each campus is processing it differently. So what you have to do when you commit to this is business, you have to commit to giving each campus, I don't care how big the district is. I mean, one of our larger districts, over 40 schools. Okay, that's harder on me. Harder on my voice, terror on my schedule. Guess what? I don't even have a choice. If I'm taking it on, it has to be done that way. If you're not willing to do it the way it's going to work, then please, by all means, let somebody else do it for you, because I already know how it's going to turn out. When you deal with these type of issues, you got to have the environment to work on it. So you have one district, we just were there the whole week. We had an AM and PM every day. We AM, PM, and then a late PM. And we just kept running it out. So when you look here, look at our sessions. So let's say those sessions go 90 minutes to 2 hours and a half. So we were able to get them in that time. Each campus got 90 minutes to 2 hours. We were able to get it in. So the key is, once again, we start with leadership, start with management, flexible in time. Once me and you get a date worked out and you know you want to do it, the time and stuff we can get worked out. Now, this is what we found out. A lot of organizations found out that their training program worked better on Zoom. I've traveled every week of the pandemic, so I always prefer to come out. But if Zoom gives you the advantage of knocking them down, or safety security hazards that are much better, we just do what's safe. You know what I mean? So you tell me, but we are flexible to do what works for the organization. You hit the leadership first, then hit your teachers. Then when you hit a home run is when you can deal. Now it depends. That's why we say, or students. There are certain levels. It's just not a talk. Kids, not something to talk to kids about, even though it's a part of their life. It's not. But it might be a situation where a parent meeting on the issue of race could be healthy. I've seen it where it worked out good, and we told, because what we seen was the trauma of negative race processing comes from home. Those ideas are coming from home. So by putting the parents in awareness of how their speech and their values influence their kids, will ultimately help us in the process. When you do this, it's a cultural process. It's an investment. The whole company has to come. So you got to say every department in the company has to come in. So you got admin, central office, the board, principals, APs, teachers, office staff, support staff, athletic staff, right? The bus staff. If they work there, they got to come in. You make the time for them to come in. It is imperative. If you touch the kids, you got to come in, right? The cost gets worked out. It is an investment, but once again, what is your return on investment? One district told me, one suit called me and said, boy, we really wish we had purchased your program because your program was a lot cheaper than the lawyer fees. I'm sure, right? This is business. This is about value and return on investment. This program will be extremely valuable. It'll be over 6 digits worth of value to the organization just in preventative costs. You don't wait till something goes wrong. You want to get in front of it before you get there. It is our Cultural Awareness Institute. Like on my training schedule, don't kick them out. The behavior thing will always be number one for me. But when I start thinking about the training that has had the most impact for me in terms of breaking down walls, racial walls that have brought walls down. I've had some districts that they have told me I have been the first minority trainer that's ever been to their district. And that's in 2020 and 2021. So it's breaking down walls, places that historically have not received people like me. Those walls are coming down. And the thing we're most proud of is that our companies have been so pleased with the training process because it's what it's doing for them. Growth, clarity, understanding, knowledge, and awareness. The things that are critical to being successful in today's racially charged environment. And there's a way to get in front of it to take race off the table so you can always stay and get back to teaching and learning. This program is what you need. Limited slots are available. Call, email us today. Let's make this work for your organization. If you want to work with me, I definitely want to work with you, and I will have my people to work it out in terms of schedule. I'm looking for people that are committed to solving the problem and are ready to deal with it. That's why we're here. Dr. Jackson here. Very excited. Looking forward to working with you soon. Be well, my friend.